everybody, to our last but certainly not least interview here at Advertising Week, New York 2022. I'm always excited when our own Matt Scheckner, the chairman of Advertising Week, gets a chance to pop by. He's here. He's got his special socks on just for you, and we are excited to get into it. How are you?
We're doing great. It's been a very rewarding 4 days, and we still have the wrap party tonight with Ludacris.
Oh my gosh, what time is that tonight?
Pre-reception at 6, doors 7:30. He'll go on about 9.
Oh man, we've had so many amazing stars here, from Ludacris to Jadakiss to all the kisses, right? We had Sean Combs, tons of marketers and advertisers, CEOs, just so many individuals here sharing knowledge and insights on where the industry is going. Do you have a favorite?
Well, Dhomonique, when you have children, you love them all equally.
Yes.
So I will tell you the favorite is the response from the audience. And when the line was down the street early Monday morning to Delancey, which is a pretty long block, I said, okay, I think we're going to be all right. That's how you always know. And for what I do for a living, if the people come, then we did our job and it's a success. So I think it's the overall, and Shingy referenced it, I think it's the overall variety. You know, no matter what you're interested in, it's here. And that the place has so much energy and young people. That's unique to Advertising Week. Not only here in New York, but at Advertising Week Europe in London, in Tokyo, in Mexico, in Sydney, and as you know, we announced that we're going to Johannesburg in February, so that this is affordable for young people to come to. You know, one of the things I'll always say is, I don't know how many people work in your company, but whatever that number is, I know you can send all of them to Advertising Week for what it costs to send 1 or 2 people to one of these fancy resort-based, you know, destination-based conferences, which to me are places that you go with your family on vacation. This is about business, but we also have a good time.
Yeah. Matt, why do you guys make the tickets so accessible and at such a nominal price that anyone can attend?
Well, that's purposeful. Listen, we created a product here that is built to help pave the way for the next generation of leaders. There is an awful lot of purpose in what we do. And when we are at our best, we're connecting the head to the heart, which for business people, to me, and brands, is how you also get to the wallet. But I think this has always been about creating that next generation of talent and creating rooms that look like America. And that's a big motivation behind what we're doing in going to Johannesburg. I was never as happy as I was last year when we were at the Apollo Theater, benefit for the Mandela Foundation with Mary J. Blige, or conversely, something we did just Tuesday night, which didn't get a lot of attention, but it was magical, Dhomonique. We did a dinner in Chinatown at the Golden Unicorn, one of the last big old places left in that part of town, and we had almost 250 people from the API community, which our industry summarily ignores. And we don't ignore them. So you see people here on stage and in the audience from every color, every ethnicity, every place in the world. Somebody grabbed me the other day, I was walking by, it was a professor with a Spanish accent. He said, "Hi, how are you? Are you Matt?" "Yes, I am." She said, "Would you come and say hi to our students?" There were 30 students here from Guatemala. So that Advertising Week is accessible for all those people. That's, you know, really special, and that's purposeful.
Sure, and that's moving the needle as well.
Yes.
And you touched on it, and I've heard many people during the course of this week say, wow, it's so diverse, right? Like, oh, it looks like the world around us, right? And it's sad that we have commentary like that in today's world. I want to credit you for that. I think that's beautiful. You walk out any of these doors and it's like, oh, it's the whole world, not just even here domestically in the USA, but globally.
Listen, that starts with a commitment, you know, from myself and from our leadership, but our team does that work and they've all bought into it also. So what it proves is that everybody who says they can't figure it out and they're trying, but I can't find this or I can't find this, they're all not telling the truth. If you make an effort and a commitment, you then have to do the work, but it can be done. And that's what we are not out to prove, but we're out to just not get the headline, but to actually do the work. There are many, many companies, and it's become popular to go out and hire a SVP or EVP of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And they'll get a press release, and they'll give that person, him or her, a nice office, but probably no budget and no power. And nothing really changes. So we believe this. You know, and it goes back to me. In my mind, I always think of when I was a boy going to school in Queens at PS 46, and my mom would always say, used to walk home for lunch then. And my mom would always say, if somebody doesn't have money for lunch, bring them home for lunch. And I would bring my friend Eddie Kelly, who was from Ghana, and my friend Fritz Isaac from Haiti, and I would bring them home for lunch. And that's just how I was raised. So I think from a business vantage point, there's a great opportunity that many businesses are missing. Why wouldn't you want a chance to talk to all your customers and to draw talent from the whole swimming pool, not just one end of the pool? And well within our lifetimes, America is going to be more than 50% non-white. So I think that's driving, by the way, on the crazy right, is driving some of the politics, that there's a lot of people who don't like that on the crazy right. And I'm sort of in the middle, probably just left of center, I think is where I put myself. But I think the opportunity that we have here is right in front of us, and what we are doing at Advertising Week is proving that if you make a commitment, you can deliver on that commitment.
Advertising Week has scaled and grown so much in the last, even just the last 5 years, right?
Yeah.
Let alone from the inception of this amazing brand. Where do you see Advertising Week in the next 10 years?
Oh boy. Well, I think part of the reason why I did what we did with Emerald and selling the business was to give us more fuel to grow even higher, faster, further. I'm trying to think of the Olympic creed, Sidious, Altius, Fortius, higher, swifter, faster. So I think with Emerald's rocket fuel in our tank and having someone behind us, all our growth has been organic. So Lance and I have grown this thing from New York, where we were from 2004 to 2012. We launched in London in 13, Tokyo in 16, Mexico City and Sydney in 18. And we did it all organically, and we invested in the business with our money and our belief, and we in effect bet on ourselves. So part of why we did what we did in aligning the business with a much bigger corporation, Emerald, who's been wonderful, and they've been with us all week here, is with an eye towards the future and towards further growth. You know, I could never afford to write the check and put a down payment on the venue for next year now. But good planning, you'd want to do that. So we're looking at other markets. We had delegations very quietly, Dhomonique here from a few other parts of the world this week. I think you can expect to hear something out of us about MENA. We're looking to launch something that really builds on a lot of the conversation this week around the convergence of the streaming world, the entertainment world, and the brand world, and doing something Oscars week in LA as soon as 2023. So I think our ambition to continue to chase and to grow remains unchecked.
I love it. And I saw you light up a few minutes ago when you talked about the first Advertising Week in South Africa. I saw you go, oh, you know, and that's February of 2023.
Yeah.
That's a huge milestone.
Yeah, and I'm super passionate about it. We are really fortunate to have created this alliance with Kevin Hart and his team. I know you got a chance to speak to Ty Randolph, who we think the world of, and Jeff Clanagan, who's Ty's partner, who's out in LA this week running Kevin's businesses. But yeah, I'm passionate about it, and I can't think of a bigger way to say, hey, let's take this stuff seriously. And all these people complaining about, I can't find young, diverse talent. Well, they're out there. And a big part of what we're going to be doing in Africa is creating a pathway and a pipeline for young talent that's looking to get into the digital economy but doesn't know how. We're going to build that bridge. And we also are going to be doing stuff with people in challenged communities. I'm the president now of a wonderful not-for-profit called Education Africa here in the USA. And when I was in Johannesburg a few weeks ago, I went to a school that they built in Orange Farm, which is a township that is very, very, very challenged. It's 90% unemployment. The train that goes to Orange Farm that used to take the 10% that did work can no longer run because all the tracks and the wires have been stolen and sold for scrap metal. So we're talking about poverty on a very different level than what we know as poverty in America. We've got our own problems here in New York and areas like the Tenderloin in San Francisco, etc. But within this community is a school that Education Africa built. And there are 1,200 kids in there, and they're wearing coats and ties, and they're wonderful, and the graduation rate is 100%. And you see in a very real, tangible way, right in front of you, that one of the many brilliant things that Nelson Mandela said, which is education is the most powerful weapon we have out of poverty. I saw that come true right before my eyes, talking to these students. And I asked one of them, Dhomonique, a young girl was 15, I asked her, what do you want to be when you grow up? And she said, I want to be a cardiovascular surgeon. And I asked a young boy, 16, Ishmael, I said, what do you want to be when you grow up? And he said, I want to be an actuarial engineer. Talk to 2 American kids and see if you get an answer like that. I don't think you will. You might get, I want to be a TikToker or an influencer, or I want to play in the NBA or whatever. So these kids were so wonderful, and I'm thrilled that Ty immediately said yes when I said I want to take Kevin to Orange Farm and take him to this school. And that will be a magical moment. And we have a chance not only to help move the conversation on our industry forward and where we're going and how we're going to get there, but to help people. And after all, if we're not doing that, then why are we here to begin with?
I agree, Matt. What message do you have for advertisers or agencies out there watching this interview right now?
Well, I think the best days are still ahead of us, and I'm a relentless optimist. I think the ongoing challenges that we have to grapple with technology creates a whole set of opportunities. I think the business is still growing, and I think the keepers of brands and images, all of us have an opportunity, and there are many, many great causes in America and organizations that do good things. The Ad Council is wonderful. Our concert tonight with Ludacris is a benefit for a group we actually launched 5 years ago at advertising we call Creative Spirit, which encourages businesses to hire young people and people of all ages with disabilities. So there's a lot of good stuff that's happening out there, but I think there's even more we can do. And probably the best answer I can give you is Tuesday night we had a lot of the powers that be globally at a reception that we did with the UK High Trade Commissioner and Consul General. The best standards globally and the best thinking on the climate crisis are actually coming out of the UK. There's colleagues of ours there. The Advertising Association, led by a wonderful guy, Stephen Woodford, has created something called Ad Net Zero. And we are helping them to sort of spread the Ad Net Zero recipe to many, many other countries around the world, uniting them with the World Federation of Advertisers, which brings the brands into the fold. Our elected leaders are failing miserably on the climate crisis, miserably. They have these big meetings in Scotland and COP this and COP that, and nothing's happening. And Mother Nature very clearly is telling us that she's unhappy. And as I said Tuesday night at this reception, while poor people and people least equipped to handle it are going to suffer the most, this affects everyone. We were in LA a couple years ago and there were big fires and LeBron had to leave his house in the middle of the night. So no one is, gets away unscathed from this. So I think our industry, and for advertisers and brands, to go back to your question, let's lean in and let's really devote our talent and effort and money and resources to help solve problems. We're the keepers of brands and images. Our industry has enormous influence. If this was a gathering of people in the copper plumbing industry or the refrigeration industry or the concrete industry, or the restaurant industry, we're kind of limited to what we do, right? But we're not here. This is an industry full of imagination and creativity and innovation. Let's tap that well, and let's not only help grow our businesses and our clients' businesses, but let's try to help move the needle on some real problems, because those we've elected to lead us, whether you're Democrat or Republican, are not getting the job done.
Matt, final thoughts as we wrap our interview. So Advertising Week 2022 here in New York wraps up at the end of today. We have Ludacris tonight, as you mentioned. I want to know, just a fun personal question. Tomorrow you wake up, the week is over. What does Matt do?
Well, there's not really a lot of rest. I'm having, tomorrow I have breakfast early with my friend John Patrikoff. He founded something called Athletes Unlimited, which is all about women's sports. And so he and I are catching up tomorrow morning. And then you'll like this one, Dhomonique. At 10 o'clock, I'm going up to 111th Street and Broadway, and I am taking my piano lesson, because at 58, I decided to learn to play the piano. And I'm going to be away next week, and I don't want to miss a week. So I'm taking my piano lesson tomorrow morning, and then I'll go home.
Matt Scheckner, that is absolutely brilliant and a man of dedication. Thank you so much for creating Advertising Week.
Thank you. And you, young lady, have done a wonderful job. I know we really put you through the paces. It's long days. To you and the crew behind the curtain, the crew right here to my left, everybody's worked brilliantly. I can't thank the Amazon Ads team enough for backing this concept. We love what we do here in the studio, and you have been wonderful.
Oh, I echo the same sentiments to you, the team, and to Amazon Ads as well.
Thank you.
Matt, thank you so much.